think this is already on here, isn't it?
Item 5H is a topic. Clean up after the last meeting.
We got 5:30. Breck, do you want to leave us in the pledge?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America. For which it stands, one nation, under God. With liberty and justice for all.
Thanks. Roll call.
Mark Serbrook. Craig Scott.
Here.
Charles Wiltie.
Zoom.
Roger Mayhew. Jenny David.
Here. Commissioners, approval of the agenda. We got quite a lengthy one. Is there any, any of them on there that we're able to remove that are not urgent? Tim, input.
Let me get the file up here.
The local blight ordinance coordination. The coordination, this is related to the whole county coordination, correct?
Oh, I'm sorry, which one? Yes, that's what that is. And county building security, we can take off the agenda. I'm waiting on some information from Rick.
Are you guys okay postponing the local blight? Because Commissioner Wiltie had brought that up until he's back in person, and there's going to be some information tonight as well. So are you guys okay postponing that?
I'm good with it.
I'm fine. Postpone the jail facility use discussion.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Again, we're not forgetting about these. We have a very large agenda.
The same with the Veterans Memorial. That could definitely wait for the next round.
Okay, I'm good with that.
Anything else?
Rest of this is time sensitive, so.
I would like to add, we have some individuals here tonight. It's a concern that was brought up here related to the Shady Shores, a property in Shady Shores. I would like that put on the agenda. We have the building director and the zoning here as well. So that way we're all on the same page. I would like that added.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda with
We don't-
deletions and additions, and we don't need that, do we?
No.
We don't.
Item 3 is public comment, and this is on agenda items only.
Jenny.
Yes. Yes.
This young lady is having trouble hearing. Do we have a public device she could use? Sorry for the interruption.
No,
We're supposed to.
you're okay. We were gonna look into the speaker system. I wonder if he's had an opportunity. Can you hear me okay?
It's okay.
So far,
Okay.
you're doing great.
Interrupt me if you can.
Fortunately, the units are not charged, so.
Could you hear better if you came up here?
You can come sit by me.
You can come up closer. I don't have a problem with that as long as you guys don't.
No,
Come on
not
up.
at all.
Come on up.
Right in the middle of us.
Tim, you were gonna look into
I'm
the,
sorry.
is that on the agenda as far as I think we need to.
Tom and I are talking about that. This is a separate. It's like almost like a pager you clip to your belt and you can plug in an earphone, but they're not charged. So
Okay.
available tonight. Yeah, if we find that out, we know that in advance, we make sure those are charged.
I think we also need to look at a whole new system up there.
Yeah.
We briefly talked about that, but anyways, can you hear me a little better?
Just now I could.
Okay. Item 4, appointments. We have, do you have an agenda?
Mhm.
Okay. Mike Bowers, Emergency Management Coordinator. Mike, you have 6 different topics you'd like to touch on?
I do.
Are you able to combine any of them?
Yeah, I can talk about all of it in probably less than 2 minutes.
Perfect.
Oh, really?
Really?
Set the clock.
Set the clock.
It's all in one page on our
So-
iPad, so it should be right.
So I canceled the EMPG hazard mitigation grant, $45,500. President Trump took the the grant and removed it from 20 to 23. He said that he wasn't going to honor it. You signed it. I never sent it to them. 2 days later is when he put the stop on it. And then in April, he closed the grant completely. Nobody can use it. So I don't have any other venues. We're gonna do it without a planner.
Okay,
Cancellation of Homeland Security GPS units. I went ahead and put those through Aranet County. Just because of all the pauses and everything that was going on, it was just quicker and easier to take care of it that way. So I want to resend that. But I have 3 grants that I need to pay. The Rave Public Alerting Program, this is the last year that we are the fiduciary for the 5 county for the public alerting program, $17,250, 100% reimbursed, 90 to 120 days. The Emergency Preparedness Expo banner is the emergency expo that we do at the park in Rose City. The 23rd of August, and we're gonna advertise it above the road in Rose City for the month of August beforehand, see if we can build up more people coming. The law enforcement shot box active shooter is a box that sounds like a gun. It's on a backpack, and the assailant, when we're practicing and training or in exercises, the assailant can roam around the building and they have to actually go find him instead of setting the box in the corner and you know where it's coming from. So, and we have a training in July. You all are definitely invited to that training if you were able to get to it. 10 to 4 at Sirline Elementary. We're going to use the entire building, both stories and everything. We reserve the entire thing for it. I look for it to be like really fun. So, and then the subrecipient funding agreement, that is just the agreement with the subrecipient, DHD2, that you're going to follow all the grant rules. I follow all the grant rules. They follow all the grant rules, and they reimburse your money. So there, did I make 2 minutes?
questions,
Whoa, wait.
questions,
I was close.
questions for Mike, Mr. Serbrook,
No.
Mr. Mayhew.
I have a meeting with the Commission on Aging,
Okay,
and the last I knew, they were not part of their building is not part of the disaster or whatever it is, but it's a big building.
correct. I'm very familiar with the building.
And they thought they were, and you said they weren't. But anyways, long story short, they keep talking about a generator.
I can't get them a generator.
Okay, I told them.
But we have a 22 kilowatt generator. It's now housed at the mill station, EMS station. So it's 22,000 watts. Kilowatts.
Trailer mounted, right?
Yeah, trailer mounted.
Yeah, I think the
And-
important thing to,
And it currently just has regular extension cord plugs in it. But I wanna put a plug on it so it can hook to
can be in that
Yeah.
kind of.
transfer switch, thank you. So it'll hook to a transfer switch, and then any building we want, all we have to do is put the transfer switch connection on it, and we can move it there and plug it in. And it would run their emergency area where their kitchen and dining area is, and the kitchen itself, the restrooms there in that first corridor. I don't know if it'll run all the way down the hallway and all the other offices, the library. and
Like I
stuff.
said, I told them that, I mean, I know you get a lot of grants
Yeah, I can't get generators right now.
right now.
That might change because of the ice storm, but we're gonna wait at least a year before we find out that. So if President Trump gives us a presidential declaration of which we are monetarily more than 5 times above the minimum amount for the state of Michigan. So we should get the presidential declaration. Once that happens, and they take care of all of that, they will take 30% of what that dollar amount was and create a hazard mitigation grant for the state of Michigan. Those 13 counties get first dibs at it for the first 6 months. And then after they've had it for 6 months, if they haven't used up all of the money, then it becomes open to hazard mitigations for the rest of the state. And at that point, I could possibly get a generator for you.
Well, if you get contacted by the people, you'll know why.
Yeah, believe you me, I'm always watching out for it. I'm always watching out for anything I can get for us.
Commissioner
So-
Scott,
No, I don't have anything. No, you made it pretty clear.
Commissioner Wiltie, do you have anything? I don't have anything, Mike. I appreciate all of this and you continue to find grants and find money, so. that is
Thank you very
appreciated.
much. And when you get an opportunity, you can just sign that subrecipient agreement virtually even.
Okay,
So it
We'll sign
has,
that after the board votes next week.
yeah, no worries.
you know where to find me.
I do. And I have.
Yeah. Thanks,
Thank
Mike.
you all very much for your night.
I need to back up. I missed when got interrupted there and I missed public comment. And I know there's some individuals here that I plan on speaking, I believe, during public comment. There is 2 areas for public comment. The concern is on public comment, so you can either speak now or you can wait for Ryan and Brian to talk, and there will be another area for public comment, so it is up to you guys. So rules as far as public comment, you have to come up, have a seat, state your name. You're able to speak for 3 minutes. And there's no conversing. So public comment, is there any public comment in the room?
Are you planning on speaking?
Wait till after they get done.
Sir, you gotta come up,
Or you can wait. Or you don't have to.
have a seat, please.
Do you want to let them talk first? And then hear what they have to say?
My son.
Did you hear what
I don't-
what I said?
Yeah,
Okay, your name?
my name is Doug Lang Jr.
Okay, you have 3 minutes.
All right, I'm here to comment on the guy that's on Park Street in Shady Shores Park.
Okay,
Yeah, apparently I didn't make the other meeting because I had a stroke and sometimes I have problems. I didn't make the meeting at the town hall, but I'm here. And at the town hall, they said, people said that they didn't know what was going on. Well, I know that's a false. I've lived here since 85. And I've seen the red tags on the building. And I seen where they give them a temporary electrical permit. How long does a temporary electrical permit last? Cause he has done nothing. He has not got any building permits, nothing. He builds stuff on his land. And I watched him the last few days after an incident from his neighbor. How he hauled all this junk away. He's been hauling away. He's trying to get it clean, but it's impossible to clean up. I mean, this guy's got more junk than a junkyard. And the neighbor is coming up and apparently he's doing something there at night because he's up all night and they said they can smell plastic burning. That's usually a sign of other things. I'm not going there because I know that there's people coming in all night. All night they come down, they drive down his road and he seems to be up all the time. So I believe it's a drug house too. I mean, people don't show up. They show up on the junkiest cars you ever seen in your life. I mean, my wife said, well, that guy's been down this street 5 times now. He's driving slow. And I says, well, you don't want to stop here. I wouldn't put up with it, but all I'm saying is, if people say, people from here were there and they said, we don't know nothing about it. Well, I know one particular neighbor that's called like 10 times. And I know they've been down there and they've never done nothing. They say they're gonna do something, nothing's ever been done. Why the neighbor got mad is because he piled his junk on his lawn. He says, well, I'll give you an hour to get it off. He didn't, so he dragged it right in the middle of the road. And I know, cause I was down there in my golf cart watching people say, you're antagonized. I said, no, I said, I'm in the middle of the road. He can't do nothing to me. The neighbor, I said, I'm just watching the show cause something's gonna happen here and I'm gonna be here to watch it. And nothing happened because his girlfriend almost tried to make it something happen, but it didn't happen. I mean, he's married, but his wife ain't there. He's got a gal there. I don't know what all he's got. He's got all kinds of trucks and motorcycles and most of them aren't licensed. And what is he doing sitting there with the automobiles not licensed? I just wanna know if are we gonna do something?
your 3 minutes is up.
That's good.
Thank you.
Is
Yep,
it Lang?
Lange.
Any other public comment at this time?
Oop, you all right?
I had stroke, a
It rolls.
hard time moving.
Thank you, sir. Any other public comment in the room? Any public comment on the phone?
Does that mean I should comment on what he
If
said?
you would like to, you have 3 minutes. What's your name, ma'am?
Deborah Norton.
Okay.
I'm the property owner of where he's talking about.
I'm not here.
No, nope. Go
No,
ahead. You have 3 minutes. Go ahead.
I don't know. We're night owls. I'm afraid of the dark. I'm up all night. My son has my bad habits. We sleep during the day and we're up at night. It's just, I guess he picked that up from me. As far as his trucks and motorcycles, there's nothing wrong with him having them. They're legal. You're allowed to have more than one vehicle or motorcycle on your property. I don't know, ever since we had the fire, we've been having a lot of complaints. And it's not by everybody in the park, just certain ones. Like people act like they're your friends and then they're here. I'm glad I did come today. I don't know. We plan on fixing it. I got sick. I couldn't get the permit. We couldn't start working on the trailer right away. But other than that, I don't know. My son's a scrapper, so we have scrap, you know, but then he takes it and cashes it in. I mean, is that legal or I don't understand if there's a problem with that.
There'll be another area to public comment later on.
Okay.
Okay?
But it was on our property and the law was called a few times. So actually, he had called them, I think, twice, and then it wasn't even the neighbor, had to have been a friend, because I think he's in California, wherever he's at, I don't know. But there's always been a problem between those two. But the trailer and stuff that he told in the yard and then called and report there, or in the road, and then called the police and reported there was a stranded vehicle or trailer in the road that he had towed in the road. We told, I think it was the police when they came, you know, it was on the property. We could show them where the property line was, but he said the prosecutor couldn't do anything because he wasn't a licensed surveyor or something. We couldn't just go by the people that had their property surveyed on one side and then behind us. So we are going by that line.
Thank you.
But I've been up there my whole life.
Your 3 minutes is
I
up.
don't know.
Thank you. Any other public comment?
Maybe you could explain that we don't answer questions.
I did.
Okay.
I did. Any public comment on the phone? Item B, LaDonna Schultz, prosecuting attorney related proposed job descriptions.
Yeah, I talked to LaDonna this afternoon. She's clearly not here tonight, but these are job descriptions for 3 positions within the prosecutor's office, the office manager, the crime victim advocate, and the child support specialist. And they do a very thorough job, I think, of describing the duties for each of those positions. And the recommendation is to adopt those, and we'll add them to our ongoing series of job descriptions.
So are these positions currently filled?
They are, yes,
So we are just making it formal.
we are.
And has the individuals had an opportunity to look at this, agree with this, anything?
They have, and fortunately, one of these positions is also the president of the Steelworkers Unit, and so we know the union is also aware.
No problems or issues? Why, I mean, we've been in the process of doing this because we all knew that there was no job descriptions previously. Like, why all of a sudden is there 3?
Probably because they had time to draft them.
Perfect. No other reason.
Nope.
That's what I was looking for. Questions, comments? Commissioners, Scott? Serbrook?
I read them over this afternoon and they're very comprehensive. I'm very glad to see that. And I think part of the thing is, you know, when we came up with job descriptions, but elected officials, are the ones that have the final say on
Hmm.
job descriptions, so obviously Ladonna took and did this, and I think it's great that we're finally getting these, because we've been sorely lacking across the entire spectrum of our county employees where we haven't had job descriptions, so I'm glad to see them, and I wholeheartedly agree that we should adopt them.
Commissioner Mayhew,
Fine with me.
Commissioner Wiltie,
Oh, good to see that they're getting done.
okay. Anything else, Tim? Item B, or excuse me, C, Tony DeBay, Transit Director, Operational Hours. Come on up, Tony. How are you, sir?
Doing good.
Nice to see you.
So I'm here to talk to everyone about just our hours of operations at the transit. Been there for almost a year now. And like I mentioned at the Board of Commissioners meeting, I'm able to kind of go in and look at data and see where our ridership is. And I went ahead and looked at the last 3 years of data towards the end of COVID. And just looked at where our ridership was as far as how many people we're transporting per hour for our 12-hour operational day. When I looked at it, and I don't know if you guys have a thing in your pads.
We got the Martian
Right.
report in.
Okay, so the last hour of our day, 6 to 7 o'clock, there is a significant decrease in our ridership compared to 5 and 6, 4 to 5, so on and so forth for the entire day. To kind of give you an example, I went ahead and looked at the last 5 years of data before I came in today. From January, so from the beginning of January of 2024 to the end of the year, we only had 127 riders from the hours of 6 to 7. Now, when we compare that to the hour before, we had 1,700 riders. So I bring this up, and I mean, that the trend is like that the entire time for the last 5. I mean, I can go back 20 years and it's probably the same thing. The reason why I'm bringing this up is because it is not feasible, with the financial position the transit is in with no millage, to continue operating between the hours of 6 and 7. So I'm proposing that we cut that last hour of operations from the transit, but reallocate a new route for the heavier parts of the day. Because we have seen a significant increase in ridership between the hours of 10 to 4 o'clock. And I know, and my drivers, and after talking to some of the staff, that the dispatchers and especially the riders that depend on our transit have an increased wait time to get to where they need to go throughout the day versus in the evening. So that's what I want to talk to you guys about.
Have you talked to your transit board about this?
Yes,
And this is what they are proposing?
yes.
Commissioners, Commissioner Scott.
I don't have a problem. Like he says, you got stats, you're looking at them. It just makes sense. If you don't have very many at that time of day, that's fine, I don't blame you a bit. I'm glad you're looking at it because I think we've been spending a lot of money on wages. No, they gotta be just sparked. Yeah, we have to run efficient. That's all there's to it. So I'm glad you're looking at it. I studied the spreadsheets and stuff and see that. I have a number of people that rent from me that ride the transit, so I hear stuff from them too, So, yeah.
Commissioner Serbrook.
I sit on the transit committee and we've had this discussion for the last couple of months. I guess my question to you is, Tony, I'm wholeheartedly and the transit board as a whole is in agreement that we need to cut that last hour out. When you talk about adding in the heavier times of the day, is that you're just gonna shift the schedule then? So we're not gonna increase wages, our expenses on the wage side by beefing up that other time frame you talked
No,
about?
it's more so reallocating.
Just reallocating the
Yeah,
time.
reallocating that.
Okay,
That's just what I'm thinking.
Right. I didn't know how much just cutting 1 hour off is gonna offset that busy time. We really haven't had that discussion as the committee. We did discuss, obviously, whacking that last hour off because of the minimal ridership. So, but I'm in agreement with it as long as it's not gonna take and cost us any more by shifting that.
I'm not. I appreciate this data. I did look at it as well, and I think we need to make decisions on data. However, there are still 127 individuals in this county that depend on that transit between 6 and 7 PM. I agree with maybe downsizing to one transit, somehow running this route or these individuals. Absolutely. Am I in favor of stopping that service altogether? No, because that's still 127 people. This is a true story. I have a individual that I know that walks, lives in Alger, that walks to Myers. He works 2 to 10 PM. He walks to and from Myers. He hit a deer, car's getting repaired, trying to find funds to repair his car. So it's about 3 months now he's been doing this. 5 days a week. Because of the transit schedule doesn't coincide. I mean, it's still there. I appreciate what you're doing. I understand you guys are trying to be proactive, but I would instead see you maybe, if you're able to just allocate one transit for this time. I don't know, but I am not in favor of totally cutting that service because there's still 127 people that live in Ogemaw County that are utilizing that. Appreciate what you're doing, but and that is why. So
I got a question, but the way I understood it, the riders don't buy the fuel. Am I right?
Right. They just pay the fare.
So if we put more people on, we burn more fuel, we lose more money faster. Is my thinking.
say that again. You lost me. So it takes me a minute.
I see where you're going with this. Right, but
The more people you haul, the more fuel you burn,
Oh, yeah.
the quicker you go broke.
Okay.
right, and I can see where you're coming from with that, but again, you have to think, with the other buses that we have,
What
we're
I'm
burning
saying
twice as much
is
fuel
if
trying to
you-
pick
if you
up.
Crowd it in the middle and you burn all the fuel. You still got the same amount of people, you're just moving them faster. If you lose the people at night. The way I understood it, it was the tax dollars, the state, the federal in the county. As far as the riders, that money is just a drop in the bucket to what you guys use.
For the cost.
And the reason they charge is because if it was free, then everybody would ride it. So I understand, but to me, if you do that in the middle, you just burn up your money faster. Is what I'm thinking.
Right.
Not saving. That's all I have.
So what's your opinion on it? Yay or nay?
Well, I would say no, because you're gonna move them faster, burn more fuel, but it's not any more people.
Would it be a possibility to look at this data and decrease, how many transits are on duty between 6 and 7 or in service, I
6 and
guess?
7, we have 3.
So would it be feasible, since you're able to pull this data now, to only have one?
It would, but then you have to think that one bus is doing a round trip the entire time. For that one driver's doing a round trip around the entire county dropping people off.
Right, is it possible?
It is possible, but that's a lot of workload for one person to do. That's a lot of drive time.
Is it doable? Without overtime and,
Yeah, there was a possibility of overtime included with that.
I mean, I would rather see that versus totally cutting that service.
Can I ask a question of you?
Yeah.
Where are you getting your 134 number from? You get it. The month of March.
127, I thought he said. 1,700.
That's over an entire year.
I understand that.
I mean, you've got 8 people a month, for God's sakes.
That's still 8
For-
people.
But if you look at it,
Wonder if one of them 8 people were you. I'm allowed to one of them 8 people were you.
well,
That is only able to go get their groceries or come home from an appointment, or it's still, I understand what you're saying. I would rather I want to know if it's feasible to take it from 3. I don't think 3 transits need to be on duty.
you've got
You know,
16 days out of the month, and I'm just looking at the March data here. 16 days out of that month, nobody rode that bus. More than half of the month, there was no rider on those buses.
So 3 buses, you had no riders.
That's a waste.
I'm kind of looking at it because it's not, there's no 8 people riding the bus at one day.
No, there were, the most in any one day was 2.
So the same person that rode on that, on the first line that shows one, he wrote, the same person wrote it the second day. And then the third day, I mean, it's the same person writing it.
I think that's the.
I don't
thing.
think it's 8 different people.
Right, like the data shows rides, not specific individuals, so it could be that one person riding multiple times throughout the month. You know, not 8 different people riding throughout the throughout the month.
So do I think there needs to be three transits? Absolutely not. And service for between 6 and 7? No.
You
It's
know,
my opinion and one person's opinion. That's it. Go ahead.
well, it's kind of like when we were talking about Saturday, Ray came in here along with Tony and he said, it's the same 8 people. Or 8 or 9 people they were hauling every Saturday. Went to Walmart and to the woods. And it wasn't the forest, because I asked, was it the forest? No, Craig, you know where it's at. Yeah, and that's the other argument that I got. Well, they can afford to go to the woods, they can afford to pay a fire.
Other
Fair,
uses of it.
huh?
Nothing. Go ahead.
Well, that's, you go to the woods for recreational use, I hope. I think you're talking about one person here, or 2 at the most. And it's from 6 to 7 at night. I mean, I see the one month there was 4 in one day. I don't know, maybe that was a total on the week's total. Two's the most.
I would like to see the cost savings for what you're proposing to us with moving these closing from 6 to 7, stopping service and moving these transits to that time frame that you're talking about. I want to see in writing before this decision is made that we're able to take back of what this cost savings, because Commissioner Mayhew has a valid point. I want to see what you're able to come up with.
Okay.
I guess this is a big span. Nobody's driving a transit from 6 in the morning till 7 at night or 6 at night. Nobody's doing that. You got two drivers driving one car. So I guess I'm asking if the second driver is going all the way to 7 o'clock, or you can back him up an hour.
Yeah, I like it
And he
all.
starts an hour earlier, which puts him into the busy time. So we're still spending the same amount in wages. It's just you're backing him up into that. He won't work the last hour of the day. And I'm even looking at that hour, that 5 o'clock hour. I could see that. I could probably see where you might back up one there. I don't know exactly because we don't see the routes, but I think I see where you're saying you're just taking them and you're bringing them together. I get Commissioner Mayhew's idea, but like you say, there are long wait times. And I'm not really sure why there's long wait times and where, I can understand if they're not here in town. You may wait because you gotta wait for a return trip or something like that. But I'm not opposed to that last hour of the day. I just think we're taking the same one person or 2 people someplace, and if you could narrow it down to one bus, if we do know it's one person, one singular person, then yeah, run that bus if you have to, but I would say even cancel that bus out.
Commissioner Wiltie, I know you sit on the committee. Do you have anything to add?
Yeah, just like I stated, last week, we really needed to use this data to find out where we can save money. And as Commissioner Serbrook stated, the 1 month, 16 days without any ridership from 6 to 7 o'clock at night, just not financially responsible of us to continue that. I understand there is some inconvenience to a few of our riders, but we've had to make a lot of hard decisions over the last few years to create sustainability with a lot of areas of our county. And this is just another one of those items, loss of funding, no millage. Really need to make some of these hard decisions. And this is one of those items, so.
I'd like to see what it's actually going to save us. Which maybe I'll be surprised, pleasantly surprised. Do you have that data with making this transition?
No, I mean,
What
I
it's-
could do rough estimate for you, but if you want a finished product, if you would, I can run that
What timeframe were you looking at making this decision?
as soon as possible. You know, from the moment the decision is made that we can do this, at least 30 days to give our ridership a heads up.
That's fair.
That way they can, you know, get their affairs in order, you know, shift their timelines to align with us and then start. You know, when we talked about this at the committee meeting, you know, we're looking at July 1st as a start date, but obviously things got pushed to the right. So again, whenever we can come to a decision on this, and if it's approved, you know, 30 days from that day.
Can you email us that data? I don't have a problem putting this on for the meeting next month, or excuse me, next week. I just want to see the data. I want to actually see the numbers, because this is, we think it's going to save us money. I want to see how and how much.
How many hours does the second shift driver drive? Is
What do you
there a
mean by
second?
shift? We have
Like
multiple
I-
shifts.
Okay.
Yeah, so, you know, we have
Well,
a,
say like there's 3 buses that are running in that 18th hour. Do they all start at a different time?
no, so all of our evening drivers start at 2. So we have
So
3,
you're gonna back their shift up to 1.
yes. And that's the idea, is to shift everything to the left. That way we can meet the demand that we're seeing with the data.
So I don't see a cost savings. I see a customer service increase, an increase in customer service, because they're gonna work the same amount of hours and they're gonna drive the same amount. But the demand is higher in that 1 hour before, and they'll be able to be there. So I look at it as an efficiency savings rather than a cost savings. And I don't look at it as more cost.
Then you're gonna go, then you're gonna go to Commissioner Mayhew's point,
That's
which
fine,
actually
that's
there
fine.
is more of a cost.
Mr. Commissioner Mayhew and I can disagree on that. That's fine.
I want to
But
see the
that's the
numbers.
way, that's why I look at it.
Because
I'm not looking at it as a money savings, because we're gonna operate the bus in the same amount of time and everything else.
But that's how it was presented to us, the reasoning behind it.
That's fine. I'm just
So,
telling you the way I see it.
Can you come back next week?
I can.
Can you email us any further information
I
as soon
will.
as you get it? Okay. Any further questions? Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks, Tony.
Have a good night.
Discussion items 5, fiscal year 2026 fee schedule.
So as the first item on our project to adopt a budget for 26, we need to look at the fee schedule. The proposal that you have in front of you was generated from department feedback. We've got 2 different areas that departments have requested a change. The first, on the roof permits, building inspector has suggested dropping that outright. And then finally, the clerk has 4 new items under the marriage license: the out-of-state license fee, waiver of the 3-day waiting period, wedding ceremony fee, and then a witness for ceremony fee. And each of those numbers, as you see, is pretty well in line with what we were already charging with the basic fee, with the exception of that waiver of the 3-day period, which would be $50 in the out-of-state license, which will also be $50. It was pointed out, again, and as I'm sure commissioners are aware, a number of these fees are set by statute. For instance, the Register of Deeds has no discretion on those fees. They are what they are, so, but they're all listed here as well. What we'll do then, once this is adopted, as departments put together their budgets, they'll factor in these changes. And both of those department heads are here, so if you have a question as to their proposal, I think they'll be more than happy to answer.
Commissioner Scott?
Well, I'm good with the re-roof thing. Matter of fact, since I gotta re-roof something this year, I think that's a good idea. As far as the marriage thing, well, that's not gonna happen with me. I don't know. How about you? You think something's gonna happen next year?
Anything else, Commissioner Scott?
Well, what's the answer, but
Commissioner Mayhew? I want to know why we dropping the re-roofing permit. What's the rationale behind it?
For one, it's a right for someone to you have a right to maintain your house.
Mhm.
So you can do the roof permit, or we don't have to do the roof permit to the state. And whether they do them with a permit or without, they still gotta be done to code. So if someone calls and complains, I still go out and investigate it. And then I can go after whoever's done the roof to make them fix it without enforcing all these permits through. So that's my rationale, it's not needed.
How long is this
But there's a
re-roofing?
lot of counties that you don't. I mean, I get people come here, they don't go start a job. Oh, I didn't know we needed it, because we don't have to have it in all these other counties. So I just wanted to be the same as what the rest of the counties are doing.
I think that was my, like, how long has this been a permit,
That's
re-roofing?
2011 is why I think it started.
How many have you had in the past year?
I can get you that answer,
Give me a rough estimate.
30.
Commissioner Serbrook?
I don't have a problem with dropping the roofing. And I know at our budget meeting this morning, Brett was telling us about these fees have been charged. They just haven't been reflected in actually on a fee schedule. They have already been charging those fees from the clerk's office. The one that really, and I don't think there's anything we can do about this one. But if you look at under the sheriffs, when they serve civil process, the mileage reimbursement fee or the mileage that they can charge is less than 10 cents a mile. Almost 9.
98, that's less
That's,
than $1. It's 98.
oh, it's 98 cents. I was thinking it was, I thought there, I misread it. I thought it
Not
was
point
0.09.
09.
I thought it was 0.09.
All right,
I misread it. Thank you.
all right. No, I'd just soon make that an even dollar myself. I mean,
It was set by statute though, because I see.
yeah,
They listed the MCL statute.
yeah, I've heard that.
My mistake.
before.
Thank you for pointing that out. Yeah, I just read it as 9 cents.
Any other questions? Commissioner Mayhew?
Whatever, we can get it done.
Huh? I didn't know there was a re-roofing permit. I guess I was shocked by the number 30. I didn't know.
Well, I don't want to make the meeting any longer, but I really have a problem with charging extra fees. I pay a lot of taxes. I should get a lot of things paid for with that. Shouldn't have to pay extra for a lot of things. I disagree with a lot of things that we charge for, but that's just a conceptual idea. I said it.
Okay, 2025 tax rate request.
This is the form that Randy has to file with Department of Treasury every year that sets, in this case, it's our general operating millage. And that's fairly routine. I mean, just looking back for the last 5 years, we about this time each year, we end up passing this.
Any changes on it?
Just to reflect what was in the equalization report that was approved back in April.
Tim, does this have to list all the special millages as well?
I don't think so. I think he's just looking at the general. I think we do that one on a different
separate form?
cycle. Yeah.
Okay.
Comments?
Well, I mean, village rollback, because of Headley.
Yep.
I mean, that's, and this time it is 0.0. And,
Thank you.
that's 1.2 mils that we don't collect, or 1.1 something or another we don't collect. Even though the original millage was 7.2 and we're at 6.07. Yeah, it's too bad. I mean, I get that. I think that's one of the points that people don't understand when they pass statewide referendums, that it causes a lot of issues. But no, we'll have to pass this. I wish we could up that millage rate, but we're stuck at that 7.2, right?
No, it's less than that.
But no, I mean to set it for an
That was the
original.
original.
Right.
Yeah, we can't go exceed that.
There is a process to do that, but not one that I would suggest you undertake at this point, but that'd be resetting everything.
I may not run again.
Okay.
No, no, I am not explaining that. No,
Well, you just blame it on Craig.
no,
Well, you do that pretty good with other
I am
things.
not doing that.
Okay.
Any other comments? Commissioner Wiltie, any comments?
I mirror Commissioner Scott's concerns, but we need to pass this.
Okay, on we go. Item E. The policy, automated clearinghouse, electronic funding transfer policy.
This is born out of that internal controls project that we just completed. Treasurer Karen has worked on putting this together to, in effect, replace a policy that I think is a couple decades old. Okay, so it definitely needs to be upgraded. What we're doing is just simply documenting our process when it comes to any of these automated payments or electronic fund transfers. Our payroll is all done by electronic transfers now. Many of our invoices are paid this way. And this policy shores up who is responsible for what, who is going to do what, when it's going to be done. Again, just laying out the accountability trail. I would certainly hear anything that the treasurer might have to offer on it. To us, frankly, it's relatively routine because we're already doing a lot of this, but memorializing it in policy will help again with our internal controls and for accountability.
Treasurer, would you like to comment?
Just that I worked with Tim to create the policy. It is in line with suggestions from Mayor Casterian and the internal controls audit. And any new ACHs that will be presented to my office will come to you for approval to be added to the list.
Comments? Commissioner Scott?
I'm good with it. I like it.
100% in favor.
Commissioner Mayhew? Commissioner Wiltie?
I'm in favor.
Okay, perfect. Thanks, Karen. Is this gonna have to be something that we approve annually? Is this?
Nope, it'll set the policy and then any new ACH vendor.
Yep.
I will bring to you for approval to add to the.
Okay. Item F, delinquent tax revolving fund policy.
You're following the spirit of the prior policy. We've discussed delinquent tax funds and how that would be used off and on over the years. This policy will again, I think, shore up what our intentions are. Now, we've already said we have weaned ourselves from using this fund for ongoing operations. This policy will not only help remind us of that each year, so that if we are going to make an expenditure, that hopefully it'll be a one-time capital expense, but it also will compel us to provide to you what the delinquent tax fund looks like before you're asked to make a decision. There may be surplus funds in there, and if they are, certainly it's there to be used. But at the same time, we've got to make sure that we have enough in the fund to settle taxes with our townships and cities. If we don't have enough there, we end up having to borrow money, which then costs money, which through interest we'll be paying to do that. So this policy says we're not going to bring this fund down so far as to require some kind of a note from a bank to pay the taxes outright. And it gets us, for me anyway, gets us on the path of the board knowing what this balance is before you're ever asked to spend any of it. That's one criticism that both Karen and I have had over the years about how this had been presented to you. It really wasn't clearly explained what was available and why you should or shouldn't use it. So again, with accountability and assignment of tasks for each of the groups involved, we will avoid that. And that preservation factor, I think, is very important to, avoid an unnecessary cost. So we're looking at this as if we don't have enough money to spend, we're not going to commit to spending it. I don't know that that was ever anybody's intention, but when we were spending upwards of $400,000, $500,000, $600,000 out of this, that gets me nervous. It definitely gets us on the edge of maybe going over that borrowing requirement. So anyway, this will memorialize the intent, and it gives us one more way to make sure that you're aware of what these funds are actually standing at and what they could and should be used for.
Commissioner Serbrook?
So my understanding, the preservation factor is we're gonna, no matter what, we need to stay at this level. Anything over and above that preservation factor could be considered excess to use for capital improvements. Okay, that's what I thought, but I just wanted to make sure that, no, I love it, quite frankly. I remember back in my former life, the robbing of the revolving delinquent tax fund, and it was into the million of plus at times. So this is a great thing.
Commissioner Mayhew,
Yeah.
Commissioner Scott.
Yeah, you know, I've talked many times about this, we've been taking from robbing Peter to pay Paul. This is Peter's fund. And, by building the fund balance, and then build this, we'll be in so much better shape. We just need to get away from the culture that if you got $1, you spend it. Gotta get away from that. I made mention, I was talking, earlier tonight, I was talking with a school board member. They said an $11 million fund balance out of a $17 million budget. That's like 60%. But if the boilers go out in the high school, it costs $3 million, they got it. You know, we've been living on borrowed time. Not only that, borrowed money. We need these policies and stick to them.
Commissioner Wiltie, do you have anything?
No, this is good stuff. You know, it's great that we made the smart, solid decision to not use tax revolving money to balance a budget. It is nice to know that when we're at where we can be, that we have so much money that we can use for the right reasons, and that's for capital investments for the county. We know we're looking into some things right now to make some moves with possibly bringing the jail down. We need more parking lots. So, you know, that's why we want to use this money. It would be great that we can have that number, feel comfortable using it and creating a good asset for the county. So this is good stuff. Thank you.
My question is I see when we establish a number percentage, like, I agree with this policy, and I think we're headed in the right direction. I'm just concerned, and this needs to happen, I agree, it's gonna be interesting to see where, with the big decision that was made this past year with the, jail changing to a lockup facility or a 72-hour facility, we didn't have to use the tax revolving fund. I guess I'm trying to think of the wording here, like, how are we gonna come up with I think it's a little premature to come up with a number, I guess. I agree with the policy, but a number to support this policy until we see where we stand at the end of this year. A lot of really big decisions were
We
made.
talked about the preservation.
Yes. But
So that preservation is referring to making sure we have enough for me to pay out our tax settlement. That's what we're referring to in the preservation number, to stay self-funded for tax settlement.
we haven't decided, this policy has not decided anything with that, what that number is going to be.
Well, it will fluctuate from year to year based on the
Right.
delinquency that comes to me. Right now, this past year, it was, I think, 2.98 million, just short of $3 million.
Okay.
And it will fluctuate from year to year based on what the townships give to me as a delinquent tax roll. But that's what it's referring to as a preservation, to make sure that we are staying self-funded.
The amount has been determined, a preservation factor is applied to the excess funds. That number is gonna fluctuate, okay. Questions, anything else?
Nope.
At-will employee holiday schedule.
We have adopted a couple of bargaining unit holiday schedules here in the past 6 or so months. We've added a holiday Juneteenth in those union contracts. What this proposal would do is just include that with the at-will employees as well, which means the entire day on Juneteenth, the entire facility will be closed. The rest of the holidays are already part of the holiday schedule. This will account for the at-will employees. They'll be in 2 weeks.
Comments? 14.
No. That's following the other.
As well as the other ones.
Right, I understand. We didn't pull this out of our hats.
No.
No.
Commissioner Mayhew.
Yeah.
Commissioner Wiltie.
No comment.
Okay. Legal representation for zoning enforcement. Kim?
This is our continuation of our discussion from last week, and our county attorney, Don Kohanik, is on Zoom and available if we have any questions. Question arose, it had to do with a zoning case where we had expenses for enforcement. And the question came, do we make best use of our resources by having our attorneys drive up from Lansing for these cases, or is there another option to consider? Now, just in the past few days, this really came together. First, in speaking with the prosecuting attorney, she's indicated that she would definitely consider the assignment. And the advantage here is when you see the prosecuting attorney's letterhead on your notice, it does tend to gather attention quickly. I mean, people reading that, it does seem quite serious, and they tend to jump at it. The prosecuting attorney does have some experience doing this, so this isn't new to her either. Our corporation counsel, Cole Stoker and Toski, spoke with Matt Nordford today. They are willing to charge one way on the travel coming up from Lansing moving forward. And they've also have some indication from the court that a number of these cases they'll be able to do by Zoom. And under contract right now, this is not part of our retainer. Our contract right now says the hourly rate for services like this is $185. So that's an option that's available. And we've also discussed working with another private firm that one that's been referenced out of Midland, who's had some success enforcing township ordinances across the county and done so rather aggressively as well. So those three options, frankly, are on the table for us. I don't believe is a wrong answer to this by any stretch. There is an advantage with the county council in that if the zoning ordinance says there's a legal question, that call is usually already made, so they're already aware and would be able to jump right in. But as the concern was expressed, there's still that travel cost, but maybe not so much going forward if they're able to use the Zoom. So those are the options. And like I said, there really isn't a wrong answer. You don't have anybody right now we have to use. So these three options, and there may be others that are available to consider.
Opinions, Commissioner Serbrook.
I'd like to hear from Ryan and Brian as to what their opinions are on it. They're the ones that are gonna work directly with these attorneys because they're the ones issuing Brian has building code violations. He's the one that's got to deal with the attorneys, and Brian's got to deal with them on the zoning side of it. So I'd like to hear from them as to what their thoughts.
Would you two like to come up? You're next on the agenda anyways. Thanks for coming, guys.
Yep.
Brian, you have the floor.
Well, in the past, we've always had the prosecutor represent us, and we've had good response with it, because all it would take was a letter. And then most people comply 9 times out of 10. In fact, in my 20 years of here, I've only went to court like 3 times, because most of the time, once you had the prosecuting attorney involved, they just jumped at it. We got to fix this. They know that we can do what we're doing. So to me, that's the best route on my end. And they're familiar with the laws, and plus I can walk over there, take the code book over there to them if they need them, or, stuff like that, so.
Brian.
It's worked well with me.
Part of my concern had to come with that budgetary commitment on that. It is kind of, we don't know how that will go. So my biggest concern was, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, that goes back to the general fund. So I never actually see those expenditures. Whereas if this was part of the prosecuting attorney and the building and zoning departments were going to, for instance, there's a set fee and we can split that fee from a budgetary standpoint. It's easier for me to see that and work within it as well too. I don't know if there'll be any benefit to local knowledge with the prosecutor and the assistant prosecutor that works a little bit more closely. with the judges here as well too, so. Either option, that was my biggest concern is, the hard work that you guys have put in with the budgetary to get us back to fiscal financial responsibility could be blown out very quickly due to the number of cases we bring in front of the.
Go ahead.
How many have you had, Ryan, in the last year? Just ballpark, you know, I mean, a dozen? Yes,
Probably
no?
more like a half dozen.
Okay,
I'm currently
You know,
sitting on quite a few.
Potential,
right now.
right.
Yes.
And I think my personal opinion is, you know, I would love to see it be done by the prosecuting attorney's office for the reasons that were stated. Number one, you get the prosecutor's letterhead, so that's a huge incentive. Number two, these guys can take it, just walk over to the prosecutor's office and say, here it is. You know, it's just a lot more convenient, I think, just to have that attorney be physically within walking distance or a quick phone call, you know, so.
I also think it'll make us stronger as a department, just as far as what we do,
Right.
because you have that behind us.
Commissioner Mayhew,
I believe it should be here.
Commissioner Scott.
If the prosecutor's office thinks they can take it on with everything else, I don't have a problem trying it out like that. I mean, if it gets to a point where you don't feel they can handle anymore, then they can come and tell us that.
LaDonna's not bashful about telling us, so.
Commissioner,
I wouldn't worry about that.
Commissioner Wiltie, do you have something to add?
Fully support the prosecutor's office. I think that's great, keeping it within the county.
I did. I've had a conversation in the last week for sure, with all three, with Brian, with Ryan, with LaDonna today. She touched base. I think we actually talked twice today. I just wanted to verify that she was interested in this and she did feel like she could do it because their office did do it when I first took office. I think there's needs to be some negotiation as far as cost or, you know, that was not discussed. But my reasoning behind it is one, availability. It's what works best for everybody. It's in person. The prosecuting attorneys invested in this community. They know this community. They have relationship with the judges. I really believe that the Zoom, I appreciate the option there, but once you're in, if they're doing something by Zoom and you're in court, there's no more negotiation. You're in court and they're on Zoom and here you go. You know, maybe it could have been prevented to get to that point. I think in person is way stronger than Zoom. And again, I appreciate the option, at least giving us an option. But that's my vote there.
To point out, we're not limiting our ability here. We still will have the county attorneys if we need to call them.
Oh, absolutely.
There, what this is going to do is just make that court trip, I think, a little more efficient for everybody. But if we have need for some special expertise on, I don't know, setbacks or heights or something like that, we still have that available to us.
Yeah.
Right, but they're taking these specific cases, but
Right.
yes, yeah. Okay. Next guy, any further discussion on that? I think we're good on that.
Fine.
I think I would like to see what LaDonna, the prosecuting attorney's office, would like for payment. How that's gonna work.
Compensation.
Yeah.
That's the word I was looking for. Compensation. The next I added was Shady Shores properties concerns. I want to put everybody so that way we're all on the same page. I received a text message, I believe, from Commissioner Wiltie last week. Might have been 2 weeks ago now. Providing me with Mr. Short's contact information. He had some concerns, wanting me to reach out to him related to properties in Shady Shores. It's in Hill Township. I cover that. So I did within 24, 48 hours. I don't remember the exact time frame. Nope. We had conversation. I'm sorry. Okay. We had conversation. I called Mr. Short. We touched base. He told me the concerns of what all was going on. It was related to possibly building, possibly zoning, possibly blight. Didn't really know. I was not familiar with the area, and that's definitely out of my realm. So I had asked him what steps they had taken, who they've talked to, who they've contacted, if they'd been to their township meeting. And I touched base on with Ryan, and then I touched base with Brian, and then I went to the township meeting. The township meeting, which I did encourage, Mr. Short to come to the township meeting and state his case. Have the residents come, so everybody knew what was going on. I walked into that meeting, there was, and some of them are here tonight, there was, I'm gonna give a rough number, 20, 30 people there. Which was nice to see, people showing up. At the end of the meeting, there was time for public comment and, no, it wasn't at the end of the meeting, I gave my report. And at the end of my report, I asked if anybody had any questions, and I got hit. It was exactly 20-some minutes of questions. It was not stopped. Questions I didn't have answers to, all of them. I tried, I let them know that I had spoke to people. I, did all the research at that point in time that I felt like I could do. I left that meeting very angry. We go to these meetings voluntarily. I appreciate the update. I appreciate the concerns. I appreciate the input, but I didn't appreciate, and it was one specific individual, how it carried on and on and on and on. And no answer seemed to be enough, and it was not stopped. So I, have made phone calls like I told them at that meeting that I would. I did exactly what I said I would do. And here we are, and here is everybody. So since then, I've received emails, I've received phone calls, and now it's time we put everybody on the same page. The unfortunate part of all of this is this apparently has been going on for about 2 years. I had never heard it mentioned at a township meeting. I try to make every other one or every third one. It had never been brought to the commissioners. And it was all of us, it had been escalated to here that I knew nothing about. So here we all are. The case is now going to be presented, or whose responsibility, what exactly is all going on, which I'm glad we're here, and I'm glad we're talking about job roles and job descriptions and responsibilities. Because how it was presented on Tuesday, now it almost seems like a safety concern, and that's the last thing we want, because it is so escalated. I also attempted this past week was my township meetings, and you guys had it at the MTA where Ryan spoke, blight. It was also brought up at our zoning meeting. There's such a fine line between blight and zoning, and a lot of people don't know those lines. Sometimes I even forget them. Townships are responsible for their own blight, enforcing it. Nothing to do with the county. So here we are. Brian.
Okay, I don't know exactly what day the fire happened out there, but I made contact with, went out to the site on, May 1st of 2023. That's when I got wind of it. And then I had them, the garage caught fire and that burnt pretty bad. And the trailer is about 5-6 feet from that garage, and it melted that siding, and a lot of smoke damage in the trailer, but the trailer's intact. So I found out who the owner was, sent a notice out, certified, and met them out on the site. I gotta see if it's May 3rd, I think it was, but. And I got pictures of it too. So, yeah, I was out there on May 1st, was out there taking pictures. And then on May 3rd, I think I posted the stop or the condemn the trailer so no one could live in the trailer or be in the trailer. And they got to come in and got a demo permit to demo the garage. And it took them a while to do the demo. They actually come and see me 6 months after the demo permit because it was going to expire, and they asked for an extension. And I gave them a 6-month extension on that garage demo. Since we got wind of the stuff today or this week, I went out and met Jim, I think it is. And I knocked on the trailer door of the mobile home, nobody come out. I knocked on the camper, and about 5 minutes later, he come out. And I asked him, where are you staying? He says he's staying in the camper, not the trailer. So you're not occupying the trailer, and that's what he told me, and he wasn't. So the trailer can be repaired and fixed, but they have to get the permits to do that, and that has not happened yet. And I think it's got to do with some financial, I must not have had insurance on it.
It has been hard.
So that's where we're at here today. And I got pictures of the garage that's been all cleaned up. I got pictures of the certified letter, one I sent her. And they actually brought copies of it up to me when we met to go over the property problems over there. But my extent of the whole thing is the mobile home is the part that I deal with, and the garage. So I don't deal with the rest of the blight or the other issues that are there.
And as far as you could tell, you've been out there twice in the
I was out there in the last 2 days.
the last 2 days.
Mhm.
As far as you could tell, either day, there was nobody living in this trailer, the
Exactly,
mobile home. I don't,
right, the home, the dwelling that was there, or it is still there, but
so that it has not been demoed. It's,
no.
okay. Ryan,
So yeah, it does go back to 2023 from a zoning standpoint, but the zoning issues that were brought to my attention here back, I think it was Jason, Mr. Short, that came and see me. I think it was the 20th or 21st of May. Had to do with a camper and the unlicensed vehicles that were in the front yard. Back in May of 2023, we had a couple of citations that I issued for no permits for accessory structures. So fast forward to today, when I did speak with Mr. Short, I had forgotten that Brian had actually done some, he put the condemned on the door. With that issue, with the blight issue and then the zoning issues, I'd explained to Mr. Short that, we need to have a powwow and have a talk. I was gonna talk with Brian, I was gonna talk with you, and then talk with Tim. In that time frame, Brian has had a little bit of time off, Tim's had a little bit of time off, I've had a little bit of time off, so. And we've also been talking with the attorney on how to approach some of this as well too. I have some legal questions based on some of the things in the ordinance when it comes to campers as well. And so we are actively speaking with the attorney on that, so. My process is relatively simple. It's spelled out in the ordinance pretty well. Once I get a complaint from an individual, I have to do an inspection on it myself. Once I've determined that there is an ordinance violation, then I do have to issue a correction notice to the individuals, which will give them 30 days to correct any ordinance violations and 30 days or more, depending on what we're doing. So that's typically the process that I have to do. But I do have some legality questions on the potential violations that have been talked about, so. We get some clarity from our attorney, and I know I contacted him at least last week before I went on my vacation, and so I know Don is looking into some of those as well too, so. Once we have a determination on what those violations are, then we will talk with the property owners. And I remember back in 2023, Mrs. Norton was on the property and James was on the property, and we were able to talk to them and discuss these issues with them. So but they do have a period of time in which they can correct my zoning violations. But and I think back in 2023, if I'm not accurate, and I know Rob Reed from Hill Township is here. I don't believe the township had a blight ordinance back in 2023. I guess today they do have a blight ordinance. So I haven't seen the ordinance. I don't know what it covers or what the time frame is for them. It's probably be a very similar time frame to what we have in the zoning ordinance. Well, they'll have to give a notice. They'll have to give it time to correct it, and then go from there. So. But as far as coordinating everybody to get everybody on the same page, it'd get us.
when someone has, that seems to be also the frustration at the meeting was, when someone has a complaint, whether, and not sure who to go to, again, whether it's blight, zoning, or building. I recommended the coming in to your guys' office, sitting down and filling out an actual complaint form. Is that the proper procedure? Was I incorrect?
That's a proper procedure. Sometimes, I have individuals that will file a complaint with the township and the township will file a complaint on their behalf. Most of the time I recommend, and I always recommend that the complainant themselves fill out the complaint form. In case during this whole legal process, at any point in time, the judge may ask to see a complaint from somebody. So it's best if we have those complaints in writing.
I think a lot of, it's not just a specific case, but that is people are unaware of what to do with the complaint. The other issue was they've called, left messages, returning calls haven't happened, returning response. You guys are both sitting here. What is in a realistic world? I don't know how busy you are. I don't know. I'm sure you are very busy. But what is a time frame you guys give yourselves to realistically, not when you're on vacation, to return a call or to investigate a complaint?
Well, I tried to return the call the same day.
Okay,
Back to, I see the electrical permit was issued to fix the temporary power out there. It was in April 27th, so that fire must have started in April sometime.
you mean from May 1st of 2023? Where are you at? You lost me.
No. April 27th of 2023, they did a permit to get the power turned back on after the fire.
Oh, no.
So that must have been when the fire happened, because I didn't know for sure when it started.
My timeline of events shows that fire was April 18th of 2023.
Okay, so. Just wanted to point that out as another.
But, and the township is here. I believe there was just not a blight officer. There is now, and there has been for a period of time. I think you might have been gone for the winter months, but they'll have an opportunity to speak as well. Tim, do you want to add to this? Because you've also been involved in this.
Yeah, well, my role is actually very limited. If I get a call about, zoning violation or building violation, I refer it to one of these two gentlemen. I mean, because there's absolutely nothing I can do. I do think what we're seeing here is a pretty common misunderstanding of whose role is what. So I think this is very helpful. We've got building inspections going on, we have zoning going on, and we have the blight issue. And one thing that I'll just say, and I know commissioners are aware, is that the county can't simply adopt an ordinance and start enforcing it. We have to have some sort of a statutory authority to do that. There is no statutory authority for the county to administer a blight ordinance. We just can't do it. So then we rely heavily on zoning, and hopefully, zoning will get into the meat of what the issue might be. But in this case, I don't think it does. As Ryan explained, when it comes to these, to the RVs, I guess is how the ordinance defines it. Yeah, there are rules, but there are no violations right now in relation to that RV that's there. So then the question comes down to, is that structure that has the condemnation notice on it occupied? That's where Brian comes in. He's explained what he's done. So I think what our reach is actually pretty limited here. Ryan has mentioned possibly junk cars, possibly the RV situation, although it looks like that's in compliance. Brian has done his condemnation, confirmed that nobody's living there. That might well be the extent of what the county can do. And so anything more would have to rely on an ordinance, perhaps by the township, maybe something through the state, don't know. But I think that's that confusion or the convoluted nature of all this has really started to, make the whole thing fester a little bit more. It's unfortunate, but that's just the way we're structured. So again, not getting into any of the great details of this, it does appear that at least for our code enforcement and for our zoning, it appears we've probably gone as far as we can.
Also add that it sounds as if the health department is involved as well too. I did speak with Scott from the health department this afternoon.
I met him out there on
Ryan
site.
met him on site, so he gave me a rundown of what he saw. He does have some questions himself that he needs to speak to his supervisor about before we move any further. And sometimes we run into access issues. From my standpoint, I run into access issues. I do not have any legal authority just to start walking around on people's properties. In order sometimes to see what's going on, I need access, or I need to see how we can get the information that we need. And this particular case, back in 2023, I worked pretty closely with the neighbor to the north. I was able to get the information and the pictures I needed yesterday from her property, which is which is one of the sides of the property that has been surveyed. I believe that that side and the back side of that property has been surveyed. The south side, I don't believe has been surveyed too. So that comes into play as well too. When we're talking about setbacks and things. So we're looking at that as well too. And with Don helping us to determine which is the right way to go. Without getting into it too, I did have some questions and he is looking into those for us, so.
I guess I didn't give you an opportunity to answer the same question as far as what is your turnaround in response?
So this is, it really depends on the time of year. This is our busy time of year.
Right.
With people coming in the door with phone calls, I get, dozens and dozens of phone calls. I get a lot of emails as well too, not only from the public, but from property appraisers, commercial, people that we've permitted for in the past. So I try to get to them as quickly as I can. There are just some times when it might be 4 or 5 days before I get back with somebody.
Sure.
And in this particular case, this time of year is a bad time for me to take vacation because it is extremely busy. And so I am trying to actually get caught up yet today. I think I've got all my emails answered. I've had a lot of phone calls that have been answered, but we have actually had a lot of traffic in the office as well too. And on top of that, as far as enforcement comes, I do share a vehicle with the equalization department. So in the summertime is when they're actually out doing some of their measuring as well too. So we have kind of had an agreement, I'll take Tuesdays or Mondays and Fridays to use the truck to go do any field work or site visits or enforcement that I need to do. And then generally during the week is their time for doing it. Now, if they're not using it, then I can use it. They have started their field work here in the last few weeks.
Questions for these two?
They're covering it pretty well. I'm surprised how well you are covering it. But as said, blight is not a county issue, and I've said this zoning issues, I've said over and over again. In these meetings and MTA meetings and everything else, townships need to take on these zoning. And whether they combine with other townships to do it, but they need to start taking care of their own.
One last thing I will add, it is frustrating for people.
It is.
I have talked to a few people in the last week. They're like, you are the 7th person I've called who can answer my question. And fortunately, they finally did reach me, but they'll talk to townships, they'll talk to the city, they'll talk to. So that information out there at the townships is getting that information out. This is who's responsible for this, and it happens, and it's unfortunate, but the more information we have out there, the better as well.
There's a lot of frustration with this case, but it also was helpful that you two are sitting here. And this is a busy time of year, and in understanding the differences and who to contact, when to contact, what to do, what the procedure is, what the turnaround time is. I think them are questions that we all get out there. So.
Yeah, we need to be careful. I mean, we understand the property rights of neighboring properties, but when we're looking at violations and things of that nature, those people have rights as well too. So we have to tread carefully. Sometimes if the county gets sued, it is suing everybody, in my opinion, every taxpayer. And we need to make sure we do our due diligence and go through our legal counsel to make sure what we're doing is legal.
Commissioner.
I think they've done a very good job under tough circumstances. They've done what they can do, and you've got so many parties. Brian's got his lane. Ryan's got his lane. The health department has theirs. You've got multiple organizations that have each got a little piece of this pie, so it's to the outsider, it's like, why aren't you doing your job? Well, it's not mine, it's the health department. There's not, and they get frustrated with that.
Correct. And
and it's totally understandable that they get frustrated, but there's only so much that each entity can do to help relieve that situation. And then you add in this particular case, the blight, which is totally out of our hands completely. That's the township's issue. You know, so I completely get the public's frustration with this. It is. You know, it seems like everybody's going, well, it's not my job, not my job. Well, that's not what's being said, but that's the perception that the public has. So, you know, we all know perception's reality. So
Commissioner Wiltie.
I really appreciate the fact that everyone's in the room tonight talking about this. Obviously, it's a few different items, but this is good. You know, we're educating the public so they kind of know the processes. Obviously, on the blight side, us as commissioners, as Tim says, you know, we don't have any control over it. But, you know, as tax-paying residents of the county, if they feel that they're not getting anywhere with their township, they do need to know somewhere that they can go. And they have the right to come to us as commissioners, just like you did, Commissioner David. Then you get the right people involved. You get everybody together and you try to fix the problem. Blight is a big issue in our county, and I do like the idea that we're gonna form some type of task force, get the shareholders involved, try to have better communication with the courts, make the whole process easier. But on a side note, this is my personal side of this. I do own a business in Shady Shores, and if I was a homeowner on Park and living around that residence, that is a blighted residence. It needs to be cleaned up. It's not right for people to have to live around that. Again, blight is an issue in our county. It needs to be addressed more seriously, and I think this is really good. This is a good start to help us to get to that point. Thank you.
Commissioner comments. We're to item 6. Commissioner Scott, any end comments? Thanks, guys.
Full meeting tonight. I don't think I have anything tonight to talk about.
Commissioner Mayhew.
I got a question for the treasurer. I've been to the meeting and there's certain people in the community that don't have to pay taxes, they don't make enough money. Okay,
If they
So-
have poverty exemption,
right. Who pays for that?
by getting a poverty exemption, if they qualify, it removes the tax from the tax roll. No
Right,
one pays that tax.
nobody pays. The county is out.
So poverty exemption, same with 100% disabled veteran, the tax is removed.
But the county, I know they can't collect it, but,
The tax is removed from the tax roll.
all right, so it's zero. Okay, I'm just wondering where it went. I know
Now we have 2, poverty exemption, and if they qualify for 100% disabled veterans
I've
exemption,
been to my township meetings and
it eliminates the tax.
they have to go through all this. I just wondered when it got to here, what happened?
It's removed from the tax roll,
It's zero.
0.
Commissioner Serbrook.
nothing.
I have nothing either. Tim, anything?
Nope.
Okay. Public comment. Mr. Short, would you like to come up?
Sure.
Come on up, sir, so everybody can hear you. You gotta state your name.
Jason Short, property owner, Park Road. Can I give handouts?
You can do anything you gotta do. You got 3 minutes.
Yep. So yeah, Ryan was right. On April 18th, the property did burn. The garage that was there was removed. As you can see on page 1, left-hand picture, right-hand side, you can see the corner of a garage. That garage was moved back. You can see it in the right-hand picture beyond the camper. And then at that time, so on April 27th, a temporary permit was pulled for power. I don't know if that has been inspected. So there's a concern that I have on whether or not the power is even safe. And then as you can see, the dates on the 2 images on the first page, there hasn't been really much restoration, other than the one burnt garage being removed, camper being brought in. And then so with that said, to the Ogemaw County zoning ordinance, section 2.27, storage and repair of vehicles. That is one item that I have a concern with. Section 18.1, parking general requirements. As you see on page 5, there's typically vehicles parked all along the side of the road. Sometimes you cannot pass the road. Section 2.10, temporary dwellings uses storage. D.1, RVs cannot be used as a dwelling. C.4, RV maximum stay in one spot is 14 days. C.5, RV septic needs to be approved by a health department if it's connected to a sewer. The health department was out there today. They couldn't really do a very good inspection because of the amount of blight. There are 2x4s and stuff stacked around the RV. As you can see, that kind of blocks where the sewer's hooked up. There is on occasion a feces smell. And Deborah was right. He does stay up all night. On page, let's see, on page 3, you'll notice a light that's circled above the camper. That is a high bay light. I'm very familiar with those. Those are for indoor use only, and they do not run on 110. They run on typically it would be 220. So on page 5, I've just stated our concerns. So with everything said, requesting power to be disconnected. Residents should not be living on property, licensed contractors only. And I believe Hill Township is working with the date for cleanup to be complete. And then also I request that Ogemaw County, Hill Township work together to help us get Park Road the way it should be.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Any other public comment? Come on up.
Letty Denning. Property owner, Letty Denning,
Spell the last name.
Denning.
Go ahead.
We own a property across the street from the residents, and I thank you for bringing this up to the commissioners. We know you're restrained and can only do so much, and we hope that Hill Township is able to help us out. My concern is going up and down the road, not being able to have a passable road to get down due to the vehicles blocking the road on both sides. If EMS was called or an ambulance or anything, they would not be able to get down that road. They would delay the time of the response for somebody by going completely around that area. And those are my concerns. It is a blighted area to me too. I have to go by it and look at it every day, but it could possibly be cleaned up, but we do need to have somebody having an organization with this blight problem so that we can follow through on it. And if it's not Ogemaw County's jurisdiction to take that over, then we need to be talking with Hill Township. But I do think that it would be nice if we could all work together to figure this out.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Come on up, sir. Your name, please.
I'm James Norton, current resident.
3 minutes, sir.
Okay. The current state of this property is totally different than what these people are talking of. The vehicles are all gone. There's a blue truck that's there. That is ORV'd. There's a 4-wheel drive vehicle. Golf carts out front is ORV'd. Everything else is cleaned up. I have pictures if you'd like to see them.
Nope, go ahead.
If there's any issues, I mean, I would much rather someone approach me and ask me, hey, can you take care of this? We have an issue with this. Rather than get someone else involved. I don't understand why this is going this far. I mean, I know it's been a timely manner, but you tend to drag your feet when people are pushing you. You know, I mean, it's just ridiculous to me, the tragedy that I went through with loss of everything and no insurance, not having anything, no compassion at all for what I'm going through here is ridiculous.
Thank you, sir. Other public comment? No public comment in the room?
I do have one statement.
Come on up, sir.
Not a comment.
Come on up.
Sure.
For those of you that don't know, yes, you're the township supervisor for Hill.
Fortunately.
You volunteered.
Go ahead.
We received the first blight complaint a week and a half ago, ever on the property. Our blight officer will be out there before the end of the weekend. So within a week, we've taken care of what we have to take care of. Why there is still electrical on there? Who has any idea? It's supposed to be temporary. You can't live in a trailer. That's county. As far as the building, she came to us a year ago and wanted, us to take it off the tax roll, the mobile home. Because said it couldn't be lived in. Our assessor went out in November, smoke coming out the chimney, he was living there. So they also have a demo permit that's expired now. So I don't really know everything that's going on, but we have addressed our part of it. And I know that I saw Brian go through the park today.
I was there today, yesterday.
Oh, okay. Well, the truck went through this morning sometime.
It was me.
Okay, so I know they have been out to that site again. I don't know if you ever check again on a temporary power. After, I mean, the permit's only good for so long, nobody rechecks that or,
You'll have to talk to him about that.
okay? And the same with a demo permit. Nobody follows up on them then. Or when they red tag something, they don't follow up.
But that I would direct the question to him. I can't answer that.
Okay. So I want to know.
Can I clarify this temporary power thing?
No, if you have to come back up. You have 3 minutes, sir.
I'd like to address that. The power does come down to a pole. And a camper trailer or mobile home is plugged into it. That is unplugged, that is not plugged in, there's no power going to that which caught fire. That service is considered a temporary service. Does that make sense to everybody here?
Is that it? Thank you, sir. Any other public comment in the room? Any public comment on the phone? Any public comment on the phone? Commissioner Scott?
I thought Roger'd want to adjourn.
I'm gonna, one more. Any public comment on the phone? Motion to adjourn?
Why not?
Adjourned.
I did it for you last.
He did.
Okay,
Yeah.
you missed her.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay, I don't mind.
Huh?
If I could just have a couple minutes, I won't take the whole 3 minutes.
Tim, how do we do this?
You've adjourned, so you can't, I mean, you can talk, but it won't be on the record.
I apologize. You are welcome to come up. I'm sorry. I wish you would have spoke up. I didn't see you.
Okay.
It's just not on YouTube. We're officially adjourned.
But my name's Lori Williams and I'm also on the Hill Township Board as a clerk and I'm new to the position. This was presented to our whole board last night and it is definitely a huge concern with these permits that were pulled and the condemnations that were done. I do believe a follow-up should have been appropriate at that time. And now, as we've stated, that there's been, 4 or 5 different blight complaints against this property in the last few weeks, that our blight officer will now start taking hold of that also. But this goes beyond blight in a lot of areas, and just to know, there's probably a lot of things that have gone under the radar, but it has to be taken care of. If there's rodents and stuff around there also. And then you're talking about children in the area that's a danger to people. So, that's pretty much what I wanted, and I'm hoping that our blight officer can take care of a lot of this, and if we could get the code enforcement taken care of also, and the sanitary stuff from the health department. That's all I wanted to say.
Thank you.